We're on the wrong side.
Is this on? I'm new to all this, okay. Welcome to DC Nation. This is actually my first DC Nation, so be kind to me. My name's Bob Harras. I'm the chief of DC Comics. Here is Mr. Idelson, who's the group editor of the Superman Comics line. And joining us is Mr. Marv Wolfman.
They told me I was doing a portfolio review, so I went there and they're going, why are you here?
This is going to be fun. Over here is Mr. Will Dennis from Vertigo. How many Vertigo fans do we have? Last but not least is Mr. Chris Roberson, who's writing Superman. So right now we are just going to discuss anything to do with DC. This is a forum that we can discuss, talk back and forth. First of all, I want to ask who's excited about the Green Lantern movie coming up? Who's reading, Brightest Day?
Yep.
Okay, what's the top Vertigo title here? Shout it out. All right, so we're going to just open the dialogue here. First of all, I want to tell you we're going to do something totally arbitrary and totally unfair. We have donated by two gentlemen over there. Please stand up. Come on, donut. He's a donut, guys. They've given us donuts here. You will be our official tasters. Any question, any comment, we will judge up here whether it is donut worthy. All right? So think about it before you ask the question. It's going to be very, very hard to pass the test up here because we want these donuts. Also, for the best question of the day, which again will be totally based on just win. Could you stand up there, sir? We will be giving out a copy of All-Star Superman DVD. That really has to be by far the best question. Okay? Really, there should be no stumbling or stuttering during that question. You'll be judged on that. All right? How do you approach the microphone, as I did, awkwardly, will work against you. So we got a lot of things coming up with DC and Vertigo and Man as well that we're very excited about. You guys are here, so you must love DC as much as we do. So I would just like to start any questions, any comments, and we'll just start talking. This is too official and formal for me. I'd love to be down there talking to you guys. So just, anyone want to start the man with the DVD is going to start it.
So what is the status on the Earth 1 books, such as Batman or Flash? Because I know the Superman Earth 1 was beautiful, and I loved the book, and I was wondering if you guys might have something in the works for other Earth 1 books.
Okay. Who here read Superman Earth 1? How many of you guys liked it? Yeah. People stand up. Who actually liked it? People stand up. Okay. Now you can applaud wildly. Yes, Superman Earth 1 was phenomenal for us, and we are actually right now working on the sequel. Actually, I saw pages yesterday by Shane Davis. It looks awesome. We also will be having a Batman Earth 1 in the works that should come out, hoping late this year or early next year. But that is by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. That looks phenomenal as well. So we have other Earth 1 series in the works. Can't really comment on them right now, but they are definitely coming down the pike. All right? You cannot get the DVD for your question, okay? Any other questions? Don't be afraid.
Where do we get for the first non-answer?
I'm getting there with you. All right.
I love the guy had his question already.
He had his question already.
Fire it off.
Questions for everybody. Marv's here. We talk about Titans, can talk about comics. Everything is open. Well, not everything. Oh, yes.
As long as we're looking at some of the releases on older material, are you still doing the archives? Because it seems like we get maybe only one or two in the past several months solicited. Are you switching those?
No, we're still, that's my actually old position at DC. It was we'll collect editions. We are still doing archives. Maybe not as much as we've done in the past, but the program is still going on. I don't know exactly what the next releases are, but that program's not going away.
And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for finally announcing the Sugar and Spike one, by the way.
That was mine. You get a donut for that. Okay. No, you can't get a donut. Well, maybe later. Okay. That was a comment. Oh, well, that's true. All right. I'm sorry. Was that sad? And you saying yay because you're glad it's canceled?
Yeah.
You're pissed. Okay.
I really like that.
We don't give donuts for pissed. But just because the book is going away now doesn't mean we're not going to bring it back at some point. We take a look at these things, we see what's working, what's not working. Nothing goes away forever, but for right now, we're just going to put it a little bit on hiatus.
And then the question I want to ask, some of my very favorite DC or Vertigo stuff is Sandman Mystery Theater. I really like, and I also really like, I stumbled across was that Black Hawk by Howard Chaykin. Right? You know, that old series now, but would there be a plan for anything similar to that in the future, like a Golden Age, a modern take on the Golden Age DCU? And if there isn't, I like to just recommend it.
Recommend?
I think he's pitching it.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Midnight said in the...
No, there's always nothing planned right now, but we are actually, in all honesty, we're working out the next 2 years of DC publishing. That has come up in conversation, whether we should do things like that as well. So again, nothing goes away forever. We just have to look at it and see when the time is right to put it out.
Thanks much.
All right, thank you. I don't know. People, wait. Was that donut worthy? The crowd is lost in here. Okay. Let's half a donut? The standards are very high.
If you can pick it up without his hand.
Should bring a knife.
So first I want to say thank you for keeping the prices to $2.99. But I had kind of a question about the pricing. It seems like nowadays, with the big two at least, it's either the options are $2.99 or $3.99. And I know when I got into it, when I started getting into comics, they were really low down there, and they moved up by like 25 cents. Every couple of years, they would raise about 25 cents. I'm just wondering why the sudden, those are the only two options for the big two. I don't know if you guys know, or if you can even dumb it down for the economics and
That's
economics.
Okay, how much did they cost when you started?
Like $1.75 back when Superman died.
When I started, they were 12 cents. That shows you how old I am. Who else here started when they were 12 cents? My people. Okay, we'll get donuts now. Actually, I'm not the person really to answer that question. I'm more on the creative side of things. I would love to keep them at a certain price because I do realize we're asking from everybody. We're asking money from you guys all the time. I don't know the total answer. I think it's, I could give you all this, paper stock has gone up, printing costs have gone up. All these things do add into the process. So there are things that are honestly, I think, beyond everyone's control, but I don't have the specific answers. Thank God I'm not a financial guy. All right? Yeah, okay. Oh, Mr. Sergio Aragonés has joined us. So again, we have questions from Mad, from DC, from Vertigo. We have the whole panel here, so if anyone has any questions, just keep on coming. Donut. You're running out of donuts. Was that donut worthy, people? Okay. Remember, the best question gets the DVD, people. Not too much pressure. We're not gonna. Okay. All right.
First of all, I want to
Wait. We gotta do this. I think we like it. What's your name, sir?
My name's Colin Idelson.
Hello, Colin. Everybody. Say hi.
I'm at a meeting or something, I guess, right? I just want to say thanks for all the work that you guys do at DC. It's far and away the best comic book group. I just think that DC is awesome. Just a couple, just asking, what's the status on seeking to Wednesday Comics? Maybe who are some of the people involved? Wednesday Comics?
Oh, we are actually, we are working on that right now. Beginning work on that. Mark Chiarello, who's our art director, was also the editor of the project. He's here. He's actually a portfolio review right now at the DC booth. He is working with people right now to start the next wave of Wednesday Comics, which I thought was a great project.
Do we know who's going to be involved in that?
I do not know particularly right now, but it'll be on the same level of people who did the first round.
Okay. And then the second question, is there a chance that they'll reunify the JSA? Instead of two teams, will be one team?
There's always a chance we'll unify the JSA. I mean, who wants it unified? Let's ask that.
We can unify it just and still have $2.
Can't
How
do
about
that. Is that
that?
another option? Okay. Yeah, we are looking at that as well. So I mean, we always, again, like I say, I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself. We always take a look. Are you used to me repeating myself, Matt? Is that okay? Matt and I have worked together for many, many years. He's very tired of me. Yeah, he's comments for 12 cents. So we always look at it and see, you know, if it's working creatively, we look at it again and say, can maybe we change it? So definitely that's been discussed.
Okay, and then just put a check next to the idea of Golden Age heroes being revisited.
Okay, all right, good deal. Thank you.
I don't want to.
You don't want a donut? The man is giving up his donut. Let's hear it for the man giving up his donut.
Do you have any news to announce about the Green Lantern animated series?
The Green Lantern
Animated series.
animated series. The actual series, I don't know too much about it. I know I've seen some design work, but I don't know a lot. I've got to be honest, I don't know too much about it. I know it's coming, but
Do you have anything to say about DC Universe Online?
did I love it? Who loves it? Marv? Say so, Marv. I'm sorry, Marv can talk about it.
Yeah, I was one of the writers of the game itself. I was on it for about a year and a half, and it's constantly going to be growing. Though someone can perhaps help me learn how to play it better. But it's astonishingly well done, and the guys down in Austin who worked on it have done a great job. Tony Bedard and I are alternating issues of the DCUO comic, and the third one just came out this week. We co-wrote the first one together, and then we alternate back and forth, but we're on the phone all the time, working out all the issues, and part of what we're having a lot of fun with in the DCU comic is that we can play these characters in a way that you haven't seen them before, because we're moving from the point where Brainiac came to Earth to that great trailer that you all see at the beginning of the game, how it got there. So that's the storyline we're playing. We're not playing where we're just characters in the universe or anything like that's up to you as a player in the game to do that. We're showing you how it got to the world of the trailer and having a great time playing some really weird stuff with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and a couple of the others that you wouldn't even expect would be in there. So yeah, glad you like the game. I hope all of you do. All of you like it? You can find me on The Killing Joke. I'm Titan 1. So don't kill me if you see it. It is PvP level.
Okay. The status of the Brave and the Bold. When does it come back? I need it. That book was amazing. And you have enough talented writers, Straczynski, whatever his new title is, let him do his thing. Get some of these guys going, and please bring that book back, especially when you're going to do the Lois Lane issue. Killing me. You need to do a Lois Lane ongoing all the time. Greg Rucker writes it. Done. That lady in the back knows what's up.
Let's hear more from Lois Lane. Okay, all right. Well, this may not answer your
First question, Brave and Bold, please bring it back.
We bring back.
We need it.
You need it. Yeah, you need it. Okay.
Even though I don't like
Okay,
to-
I will go back to New York on Monday. We have our internal meeting. Matt will vouch for it, and we will say we need Brave and Bold. Someone in Seattle said so. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Also for Lois Lane, I would also just say, a big Lois Lane fan, watch out for Flashpoint coming up because there's very cool Lois Lane stuff going on there. All right. All right.
Keep it up. You're kicking ass, taking names.
Thank you. Donut.
Yeah.
Donut.
I guess my first question would be, I've only been reading DC for a few years, but I think back one of the cooler things about DC in the 90s was Elseworlds. And we recently y'all did that Superman, Kal-El of Earth or whatever, I can't remember what it's called. And that was the first time we saw Elseworlds in a long time. Is there any chance we're going to get more Elseworlds? Because that's always fun to see a character and take a new spin on it. Is there any chance for
Okay, once again, we'll turn to the audience. Do you agree? Okay. Wait. Let's see if any brave people here. Does anyone disagree? Whoa, brave people. Okay. All right. Actually, right now, to be honest, we don't have anything specific planned for bringing back Elseworlds, but we do have something on the table that might be similar. We're discussing, right, Matt? Since you all. Yes. Matt, offer it to me. Okay. So again, nothing's ever gone away forever, but right now, I gotta be honest, we don't have anything planned, but there's something we may do that's very similar, which actually would be, I think, equally cool. All right?
I guess two more.
Another question. Okay, wow, 2 more questions?
I'm sorry, just one more.
Okay.
This is
Talk away.
Since Chris Roberson is currently writing Superman, he's really kind of going off what JMS had plotted out.
Seriously, screw that
Is there any chance
He's no donut for this man.
for Chris to tell his own story after, I guess, all that is said and done? Because I'm a huge fan of his. I would love to see what he can do with his own take on Superman instead of sort of following guidelines.
We've been talking, and I mean, I shouldn't understate how much Chris is bringing to what JMS had laid out. There was a lot of space to fill, well fulfilling what the original mission of the story was, but I don't know about you guys, but I definitely want to see more of him let loose and wild and crazy instead of the restrained muscles of Chris Robertson. That's
Actually, but
Oh, I'm sorry. I never. I'm sorry. That's cool. I'm from Austin as well. So.
okay.
so how do you not know each other?
Thank you, by the way.
Okay. Thank you. Donut. Okay. And your name, sir?
My name is Glenn.
People. Hello, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn. So to let you know my dedication, I had to quit my job to be here. But I have another one planned.
Okay.
But the question I have is very pertinent to me, so it was worth it.
Okay.
So me and my friend have had this long-standing debate about if Batman and Superman, their political affiliation. I think Superman has to be a Democrat because he beats up a rich white guy and fights the poor. Batman beats up poor, like disabled people, like the Penguin and whatnot. He's a rich white guy. So and then Superman has to vote because he's very patriotic. So what affiliation would they be?
You know, that's too tough for me to answer. Okay.
Well, some people are writing Superman. So
I have an answer. A, Superman's above politics. He's for everybody. B, Batman's too busy to vote.
But he gives the political parties that Superman fights like Luthor and is very anti-political when it's to his advantage. So there must be some affiliation.
They're both really busy saving the world constantly. They don't have time.
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion here. I'm sorry. Why don't you have a donut? It's all good. Okay, thank you. Remember, we have Mr. Sergio Aragonés here. You don't get that chance often, so people, just remember that. Sergio would love to talk and communicate. Not here. All right, yes.
Superman's an illegal alien anyway.
Exactly. That's the point. Someone's going to say that.
But he's got a fake green card.
Okay, that's true. Yes.
Right, I actually might have an answer a little bit about the prices. I've heard that Marvel is actually going to go to one price. Instead of doing up and down like $2.99, $3.50, $3.99. It's a rumor. Don't.
Yeah, $5 a book they're going to.
Don't quote me on that, but I've heard they might be going to one price. Like,
Okay.
Quote me on that.
You know more than I do. Okay.
And we're comic stores. And my question is, I know y'all came back with the Birds of Prey line, and that's awesome. Any chance y'all might have more Black Canary coming up? As you can see.
I wonder why you're asking that question. That's stunning. Yeah, Black Canary. Yes, there'll be more Black Canary, definitely. I didn't realize Lois Lane won more with Black Canary. Black Canary. Let's do Lois Lane.
How about Lois Lane in the Black Canary costume?
That's why he's in Vertigo. All right. So. You ready to answer?
No, I think it was Sirens Cross.
Black Canary. You will see more of Black Canary.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Hi, I've got 3 questions concerning this. The first question is sort of combined. The costumes for it involves both upcoming fall Wonder Woman TV series on NBC and Zack Snyder's Superman movie. Are the costumes for both series, for both properties, will be faithful to the comics?
I haven't seen anything on Superman. I know I've seen some sketches for the Wonder Woman costume, and I will say this, that there is every intent to make them similar. And
Not to each other.
What's that?
Not to each
Not
other.
to each other. Okay. So I don't have the total answer because I've only seen very, very rough, but there's always, I mean, these people do these movies and these TV shows because they love the characters. And, you know, with DC now working much more closely with Warner Brothers, I think you'll be happy with what comes across in the next few months, all right?
Okay, second question. Involving the current Wonder Woman, speaking of costumes, when are we going to see Wonder Woman go back to her old costume again?
When we see her go back to her old costume again, I would have to say to you, quite honestly, keep reading the book, because things may happen to surprise you, all right?
And the third question is involving Power Girl. I just heard about, I just have some Power Girl issues, but involving some for powers. Also, Power Girl didn't super spin on all the comics. I like to see her super spin like a spinning around in a fast tornado.
You want to see it? I gotta be honest, I'm not about my Power Girl. What's going on? What's almost a super magnet? You don't know either. Don't know. We'll get back to you on that one.
So I like to request Power Girl super spin in the comics.
Okay. I'll talk to Judd right now, right? We'll talk to Judd Winnick about that, all right?
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Don't have to? Okay.
Yeah, he's going to
He's got the door.
Sure. Don't change her costume though, whatever you do.
Keep which one? The current one. All right, let's stop. Wait, stop the question a second. That's okay. Voting time. New costume for Wonder Woman, the current one? People stood up over here. Or go back to the old one. All right. We'll duly note that one. All right. Okay, write that one down. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Bob. Welcome to Comic-Con. I just wanted to say it's absolutely fantastic to see Marv Wolfman here at Comic-Con. Judas Contract is the definitive long-term storyline, I think, of the last 30 years. There wouldn't be a first crisis. There wouldn't be a second crisis. There wouldn't have been a third crisis. It's absolutely fantastic to see you here and engaged in DC, so thank you for coming.
Thank you. And if you didn't know, George Harras and I just completed games after 27 years. You'll get the donut because he led into it. George is done. I'm done. Mike Perkins, the inker, is 2 pages shy because I have the others on my phone that he just sent to me. The lettering's all done and the coloring's almost done, so it will be out this fall as promised. And I can tell you that George's work is the best I have ever seen from him. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It is amazing. It's amazing.
Just go ahead and jump to a cheeky third question. The second question is, what's the level of integration between DC and some of the other properties now that it's all under one silo? Is DC Online and editorial, could we see in 2 years the next crossover, the next Flashpoint, start off in DC Online and then possibly lead into the comics or back and forth? Is that level of integration talked about?
That level of integration is definitely where we're headed. I would ask, would people like to see something like that? Where it starts online and moves to... Wait, that was not a resounding... Would they like to see that or no? Not to see it. He says no. No! Gosh. All right, well, we'll scratch that plan off. Okay. All right. You can stay on that one. All right, but the plan is whether we go that way or not, quite honestly, that has not been discussed. But the whole plan of the new DCE is that we are much more integrated. We talk together, that's I think. We talk a lot about different products, so, and how we're going to proceed. So I think what's actually been very nice about the last 6 months since this all happened is to see how both the LA branch of DC and the New York branch work together. So I hope that answers the question.
Fantastic. Last question.
Last question. Okay.
Zack Snyder's Superman film. So we know Jeff Johns and David Goyer have worked a lot together in the past. Can we assume, without getting into details, that there's a lot of coordination between, story-wise at least, what David Goyer is doing with the story of the Superman film and DC having input into that? Or?
I would say I can't go too much into this. Matt actually just spoke with David Goyer this week. He cannot tell you anything.
I don't want to.
He'll be fired.
I don't want to
right
ask
now.
anything. I just do you get a seat at the table to talk about it, to talk to.
I'm at the head of the table.
Okay.
No, there's different. There's definite interaction. I'm talking about him now. Go back and forth. And I mean, it's about keeping the product consistent in both places because that's the whole point. No! We can tell her what I said.
Mike's a little.
Yes.
Thanks.
No, there's definitely coordination.
Right. And
Because
Jeff,
you want the product to be consistent. If you like the comics, you want to see the movie, and you want it to match and be familiar, be faithful, and vice versa. If you see the movie and buy the comic and they don't match, what's the point? It would be pretty stupid not to do it.
and Jeff and David Goyer talk all the time, so there's definitely that type of interaction too. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come, you get a
Donut. No donut. No donut. Okay. All right.
Okay, so like Doom Patrol and Rebels and Freedom Fighters have all been canceled. So what are you replacing them with? And if you're replacing them with like more Batman or Superman or Flash comics, aren't there enough already?
At the end, you will vote. Okay. Yes, we are actually ending some series. That does not mean that we're not going to bring some new stuff in. Actually, and I can tell you, a lot of it will not be Superman, Batman, or Flash. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming down the pike. So again, like I said earlier, some things we just look at it and say, okay, time to give it a rest, but we're definitely going to bring some new stuff in there as well. All right, so hopefully you'll be happy. In a year from now, we'll talk. You'll say you were right. I deserve that donut. It'll all be good. All right? Okay, thanks. All right, donut?
Want a donut?
Donut, come on. Again, we have Marvel and Sergio Aragonés with people. These are icons. Some questions, a chance to talk to them.
I'd like to ask if there are future plans to more fully integrate the characters from Milestone into the DC line in next year too. Well, I thought it was there briefly, but there are a lot of characters. We're kind of curious if.
We actually do have plans. Don't want to go too much into it right now. The passing of Dwayne McDuffie this week. I knew Dwayne back in the days when we did Marvel. He did an amazing thing creating these characters. So yes, there are. Can't go too much into it, but there are plans to bring those characters in. All right. Okay. Thank you.
I guess you can say that's one for my family. Mine would be what superheroes going to lead the next big crisis in DC? Because I know Lantern's been doing the last one.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Sorry, I'm what's going to be like the next crisis? What superhero affiliation is going to cause the next crisis? It's like bright as day and black as night were caused by the Lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to kind of lead that?
All I can say, and I'm going to sound so cliche here, is keep reading the books because we do have something planned, and it's going to be big. So just keep reading. All right.
And then
we do have that. Yeah. I was hoping to jump in. We got Flashpoint coming, which I thought someone would jump in on. But that's going to be the first thing you're going to see coming up. What's that phrase? Everything you know changes in a flash, and that'll be the truest thing you'll see. It's coming up this summer, and it will have a huge impact on the DCU. All right?
And then I actually had a question about the Teen Titans. I can't remember it from my life. Between the comics and the cartoon Teen Titans, what was the major difference you guys liked or disliked?
Well, since they were pretty much based on what George and I had done, and I have to say, and you can see why I'm wearing the jacket, I actually love the cartoon show, and I wrote a number of the episodes as well. So the beauty of it was intended for younger kids, but they kept to the understanding of each one of the heroes. So Starfire was Starfire, and Raven was certainly her, and all the others meant for a younger audience, but they still understood the dynamics. So I love the show, and I know George did too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jonah, come on. Jonah's over here for you. Anyone have also vertigo questions? Will Dennis is here, doodling. He wants to a question.
I'm just drawing neatly pictures of Lois Lane and Betty going with that.
Next question. Okay.
There's a vertigo panel.
Yes. So I'm from Comic Book Resources, and I've been reading comics a long, long time. I just turned 40.
Were they 12 cents when you started?
Not quite, but
That's me. Okay.
no, the two guys who are responsible in a way for me being here are on that end, and I just want to thank them real quick. Sergio, who I read Mad before I even started reading comic books, Mad, Cracked, and Crazy, and all that stuff. And then Marv, New Teen Titans is the reason I started reading comics, and
Thank you.
it's just great for you to be here, and I really appreciate it. Much like the guys who already spoke. I appreciate it. They watch all the stuff now too. They're going to be here tomorrow dressed as Kid Flash and Batgirl running around. So, just two quick questions. One for Sergio and one for Marv. With Sergio, I was just wondering if we're going to be seeing more crew soon. And for Marv, it's been probably somewhere online, but I think I missed it. But I just want to know more about how games started out, how come it wasn't integrated into the original Titan series, and why it's still.
Can I talk about Gru, even if it's not this year?
Yeah, you can talk about it. You can talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing right now a crossover with Conan. So, Tom Yates is drawing Conan, and I'm drawing Gru. It's going to be a 4-issue. I finished issue number 2, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it'll be out probably by the San Diego Con. Thank you for asking. And don't miss the Mad Show. It's a very funny show. It's more for younger audiences, but you catch yourself laughing at some stupid things. But it is funny. I'm watching there, and I'm laughing. What am I laughing at this? But it is funny. So watch the Mad Show. It's Monday. No, I don't know here, but in LA it's Mondays. The Mad Show.
Yes, sir. Who watches the Mad Show here? More people, please. Just start watching it.
And you want to know the genesis of games, or?
Yeah, just kind of how come it wasn't integrated originally in the series, and even what you thought when all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared for however many years.
Well, George had drawn about 60 to 70 pages of the original storyline. It was semi-integrated to what we were doing at the time. The costumes were the same, but it was a standalone story. Sadly, because we're no longer the age that we were when we started it, neither of us could remember what the story was about. So what you have now is actually an incredibly different story using the same artwork that's much more powerful and with stronger villains. We've worked some brand new ideas into it. We knew the basics. We didn't just remember the specifics of all the little stuff. And we only wished, honestly, that we could have done about an extra 30 pages or 40 pages because we were getting we had so much fun getting back to this thing that we had not only started 25 years ago or so, but also the two of us getting back on the Titans for a long-term story. And it felt, and George can tell you, and I think Mike Perkins, who sat with us at one point in MegaCon when we were discussing some things, it was exactly the same dynamic we had all these years before. I mean, we just fell right back into it, and it felt like such a Titan story that we couldn't believe that any time had passed. I mean, George and I have been friends, and I was best man at his wedding and all of that, so we've seen each other throughout the whole years, but we had never worked to that degree. So it was an incredible experience coming back together and doing the Titans all over again for the first time.
Great, thank you.
And again, that's a spook since you were 15. Have a donut.
Have a donut. I think that's September. September this year it'll be on sale.
Yeah, September.
Hi, my question was, now that you guys have Wildstorm and everything seems to kind of be like there's multiple layers of universes, like Reading 52, you kind of have a cameo with Kingdom Come universe, Wildstorm universe. Kind of seems like they're keeping the Vertigo universe pretty separate from that. And what I was wondering, and not that it's a bad thing, because I generally don't like crossovers between companies, it kind of isn't very good usually, but are we going to see Wildstorm team-ups with DC Universe? And I thought maybe since Wildstorm is a little bit more superhero at first, that would fit, but there's still weirdo stuff in Wildstorm like the Authority, so I'd love to see the Authority mixed up with like Justice League and see how Superman and Batman deal with like the Midnighter and stuff like that.
Gordon Brown and Mr. Miracle.
What's that?
Gordon Brown and Mr. Miracle.
Okay. Who would like to see Authority in the DCU and those characters? To be honest, right now, nothing's definitely planned, but there is, just on a structural or editorial level, there is just the DC world now. So those characters may or may not be showing up at some point. Waiting for the right moment. Working with Jim Lee a lot. These are his characters, so we'll see what happens. But definitely it could. Maybe a while.
And you guys have pretty much committed to like Vertigo being like a separate thing, because you guys used to kind of have Swamp Thing with Superman, Constantine with Batman, but now it's pretty much its own demon completely, right?
Well, Vertigo is definitely one of our separate imprints, and that's can speak to what they're doing over there. But there are certain things that may surprise you coming up. I don't know.
Hey, yeah, Death in Action.
Yeah.
Yeah, Death in Action.
Yes, yeah, actually, that's true. That's what I'm saying.
We're Earth 27, from my understanding. And Marv is selling comics for $5 a piece. I was kidding about the Earth 27.
Because you guys weren't even...
No, I mean, at this point, Vertigo is essentially, the real emphasis is on creator-owned projects that are independent. I mean, those other characters, obviously, Hellblazer, but yeah, that's where our focus is on, for the time being anyway, is that. If these guys have plans to use some of those characters, that's fine with us. I mean, I'm not giving you permission to use those characters. That's not my call. As a fan, I'm fine with that, But I think you see, I mean, it goes to the question earlier about the integration and the cooperation and all that. I mean, this is the first DC panel I've sat in ever,
Really?
Well,
you're doing so well, too.
Yeah, right, I know. I think it's the last one I'll be at, too, frankly. But so, you see, I mean, it's obviously like they're including us in these things, and so that's the focus, is to try to get us much more of an integrated organization.
And then my last question would be, with how popular cartoons have been, have you guys, after Justice League Unlimited, that really seemed almost just like a DC Universe cartoon, have you guys given thought to doing like a weekly cartoon that could just have to do with any DC characters, like DC Universe the cartoon, like the video game or anything like that?
Like the video, personally, I would love that. But again, I don't know exactly what they have, planned, in LA for everything. But there's definitely, I'd love that show as well too. So I would be very surprised if some more things like that weren't being planned. All right, thank you. Donut? Oh, no, donut. Hi.
It's got a fin to the
So I have questions about the Justice League. First one, I know people will disagree with me, but I'm really digging James Robinson's work on the series thus far, and the quirkier lineup with Conga Road and stuff like that. Is he going to be on the title for the foreseeable future?
On Justice League? For the foreseeable future, James is the writer of Justice League, yes.
Okay, so there's no major shakeups anytime soon?
Why would you expect that? No. No. James is writing the Justice League, and he's doing some great stuff. The recent, I think last month we came out the Congarilla one-shot, which I loved. So, James is definitely part of our plans going forward. Just actually had a conversation with James yesterday. So, I think you'll be very happy. Okay.
And my second question is about the Generation Lost that Joe Lennox is doing. I think that's a great series. I know you can't spoil anything, but is there any chance of seeing that team continue beyond the end of the miniseries? Yeah. That was my Justice League growing up.
Well, the answer to that is maybe,
Maybe.
and maybe not. Okay.
Very coy, Harris. Thank you.
Thank you. No? Yes? Okay.
Why?
Right. Was that?
Why did he kill off Blue Beetle?
He killed off Blue Beetle? I gotta start reading these books. Okay. All right.
Yeah, with all this stuff happening with Bruce Wayne and everything else coming up with the Batman series and all that, don't you think it's time to bring in Hush and start screwing with them again?
See Hush screwing with him again?
Yeah.
Didn't he just do something recently to him, or am I misremembering?
No, I think that's
Hush is the main baddie in Streets of Gotham.
he's still, well, he keeps on coming back again and again.
I think Hush will be a problem for Bruce Wayne for a while to come. Let's put it that way. All right? Okay, thank you.
So I'm Black Man in America, and I just thank you. I know how comments are, so I want to know when you're gonna kill off the new Aqualad. I kind of see it coming.
Are you asking for Are you asking us to? Or?
No, I'm saying not to. But I mean, are there plans? Because
just kind of popped up there. No, I actually don't want to give too much away about Aqualad, but we got a lot of plans for him coming up. Okay, so I think you'll be happy. All right. Okay. Does that make you happy?
You'll know.
I'm gonna give you a donut because oh, it's a candy. Wait. This is not on the agenda. Candy's Alice here.
I don't understand the dreadlocks underwater though. But like every swimmer in the world's got like, whatever they can do to make themselves streamlined.
They're not planting.
I just feel like they would work against your water momentum.
Again, you can see why Will is in vertigo.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. I'm not being invited back to another panel.
Okay, won't be rethinking that assignment anytime soon. Okay. Yes.
Just like to say, I'm a big fan of Karate State and everything that you guys have been doing with that. My question is, with Dead Man, is there plans to continue on with him with a single shot with him as a live man, or?
Who likes Dead Man the way he's been done? I personally love Dead Man. I think he's phenomenal. I think what Jeff's done is amazing. I tell him that. He's like, to me, he's the breakout star of that series. Let's just say this, that you haven't, I'm going to sound like a cliche again, okay? And actually, I should give a donut to myself every time I was a cliche. But you haven't seen the end of Dead Man. You've got big things planned for him ongoing. I think there's some surprises coming down the pike very soon. But again, I just think he's a phenomenal character. So, I agree with you. All right?
The other thing was, I'm a police officer, so I had to join the line for a donut.
Hello. I'm Marie, and I just want to say, Marv Wolfman, oh my gosh! Everything that's been said before, and I'm sure you've heard a million times, but just duplicated. And I wish I knew you were here because I would have brought my Judy's contract.
They signed me up a year ago.
I don't know. Okay. Anyways, to my question, I just kind of want to check up on the status of basically my three favorites, which are Static Shock. I know he was with Teen Titans for a while. The Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, and of course Batman Beyond. Where are they at?
Where are they?
What's going on? What's the future plans for them? If you can, what you can leak.
I can leak nothing. But I think you'll be intrigued, but we have plans. So, again, a cliche, I'm sorry, but we have plans, okay? But you should be pretty happy with plans.
And then also for Marv, with all these movies and of course TV shows coming out, I'm actually studying animation, so I have an excuse to watch all the animated shows, or at least I tell myself that. How do you feel about maybe one day there being a live-action new Teen Titans movie, because Judah's contract was such a big influence on the comic book industry and everything that came from that?
You know, every so often it comes up and then goes away. I think Warner's likes the idea of a Titans, but everything is being done very carefully and worked out over a 5-year basis or the next 5 years. So where it will fit in, if it does fit in, I don't know at this particular point. I would love to see it. It has been announced in Variety, though it has not been picked up yet, that they're at least developing a Raven miniseries or a TV series. I don't know if that will be picked up or not, but I would absolutely love to see it.
Thank you. And then also, I know that you guys are having an actual talent scout this year, because I've come every year and I always read my portfolio and we never have talent scouts. And you actually have a talent scout this year, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, we do.
Good. I'm ready.
He's doing it right now. It's the only hour he's doing it the hard. Sorry. Next year.
That's the breaks. I've just been told we have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So
about 500 donuts.
We have to take a few more questions, maybe 3 or 4, and then we'll take a vote on best question of the day. Please stand up to the DVD again, just to show you. Oh, you have.
There's a Batman Beyond comic book.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Yes. We have 2 very quick. Okay.
I love Action Comics. I love what Paul Cornell's been doing with Lex Luthor, and now that James did this whole thing, everybody says Superman's coming back to Action Comics, which makes me sad. Will Lex Luthor's stories will be able to be told fully in the way that Paul Cornell originally intended? Fast, I promised.
Yes. I didn't know what you said. I'm sorry. But they agreed to.
We'll see if there's any story left to tell with Lex after 900. Let's put it that way.
It's called karma.
Idelson.
Wow.
Late.
Wow. Taking the wing out of the room, man. Okay. All right. Yes.
I was just going to say that I really loved the Superman Batman Beyond annual. I think it was like a 1.5 years ago or something like that now. And it was really refreshing to see Batman Beyond done in a more realistic or mainstream comic style, as opposed to like the sort of following the Bruce Timm animated series style. Are there any plans to switch the art up and do a more realistic looking Batman Beyond eventually?
There's a book right now, Batman Beyond.
Well, I know, I was just saying that, but the artwork still, I guess to me, the aesthetic looks very Bruce Timm-like, and I'm a fan of that, but it was nice to see something else.
No, I think all these characters, really they're strong enough. There can be different interpretations of them. I think right now Batman Beyond has the look that it does have, but as you saw with the annual, they can be done in different ways. We have no specific plans right now, but doesn't mean we're not going to do that. So, I mean, I think you'll be, again,
Cliche
vision. What's that? Cliche alert. That, things will happen down the road with some of these characters that should be very exciting for you. All right?
Cool, thank you very much.
All right, we got time for one more. We're going to do the, maybe we'll try to get you very quick.
For Vertigo line, Constantine seems to be one of the only characters that continues to age with time as it keeps going. Is that going to be a continued trend to pretty much maybe geriatric? Yeah, like maybe till his death. We
have a senior center storyline coming up. His kids put him in a senior center, and it's really kind of sad and awkward.
The Preacher show completely dead in the water.
The Preacher?
Yeah.
Didn't they just announce? Didn't they just announce that there's a movie?
Oh, there is.
Attachment? I don't think it was in the interweb somewhere. Google it sometime. Yeah, there's a movie announcement just in the last week. Someone's attached it directly. He tweeted it somewhere.
And if sorry, we got to move things along. So
we're having Vertigo panel tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so my question is, I'll go spit it all out in your answer.
Okay.
So, have you guys run into any issues with the orientation of Batwoman yet? And do you think that you as a company have enough diversity, be it orientation, color, or race? And if that is something that you guys should address as something that doesn't affect our culture?
Short answer, we've run into no issues with the orientation that I'm aware of, and I think we just want to tell great stories about this character. I didn't hear the last part of the question, so I'm going to...
Do you think that your universe lacks diversity in the fact that...
I think that's something definitely we're going to look at. I think, you know, we want to reflect the world out there. We're going to be a little bit more current, a little more real. So that's something we're looking at, definitely. All right? Okay, 2 more and then we got to go, folks.
Okay, this is somewhat relevant to the previous question. We all know Tim Drake is gay for his best friend, Connor Kent, so why is this not Connor Kent yet?
Oh, we certainly do not know that.
I don't know what to say that. Maybe it's up to them. That's what I say. Okay, one last question. Do you want to tell us?
Yes. So there was the Adam one shot, and we had like the teasers in the back, or the second features in the back of Adventure Comics for a while. Is there any plans for an Adam like series, like with all these teasers?
I will be honest, there's no plans right now for an Adam series. Sorry, but he will be appearing in certain titles coming up soon. So I can't give you totally what you want, but I'll give you enough, all right?
Just little takes, I guess.
Okay, all right. So we end on the Adam. I want everyone to stand to ask a question. Okay, DVD, hold it up. Okay. All right. Can we discuss over here, please? I think the guys know.
Aqualad! Aqualad!